We are live here on LinkedIn Land. We're live on YouTube. This is the Courageous and Free podcast with Jacquelyn Mack. If you have questions, comments, desire support, whatever it might be in relation to this topic today, or past episodes that have been live here, or you watched, or on YouTube, and been on the podcast, wherever you have found me is what I'm trying to say today. Feel free to comment. Feel free to reach out for you, especially on LinkedIn. That is where I am showing up the most. My Instagram is still in the hands of a hacker. I am working with Meta. They're requiring a legal document, which I should have in about a week or two, from the company who helps me with my LLC and all the fun documents with my LLC. So just more reasons to talk about what we're going to be talking about today in relation to revenue building and momentum and time freedom and money freedom when it comes to building our businesses. Because at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but I didn't create something, a business, a life, in a way that feels like this is it, or it's a trap, or I hate to say it, but invisible handcuffs, which is what my clients and I talk about all the time at the beginning of our coaching, to be honest. And this is with those that are brand new to business and the online space, and those that have been around for a while and finally hit their first, 100K month, $500,000 month, $500,000 year. Because when I built my business after burning out a few times, I had this white space on my calendar, plenty of it, because I was like, okay, that led to burnout. Don't do that again, right? If a booked calendar meant burnout, then okay, stop booking out my calendar. But I was constantly checking what? Voxer, pushing back sessions, delaying launches, catching up on follow-up. So it looked flexible, but felt more like a chain than ever. Dare I say ball and chain, right? So once I installed the structure of consistent, solid sales systems and structures and client delivery days, creative time, real CEO time, not to get distracted by the busy work. And then I also use my urgency audit, right? Which is in all of my programs. So if you're in the Rise Up program, self-study course, if you have sales code, self-study course, this module is in both, because it's that important to have on your radar to make sure we're not making things urgent that aren't, and we're really prioritizing those revenue generating tasks. So again, it's installing the structures, the frameworks, mapping out with intention. And when I did this, I tripled my revenue in 4 months. And here I am back to the basics of recalibrating, reorganizing even this structure, because I have a couple done for you clients and I'm maxed out with that right now. So I don't take on more than 2 done for you fractional sales director roles. And I don't take 2 on at the same time. There's at least a 90-day gap in between because of how much work happens in the first 90 days. And then it's my done with you, which is my coaching, my one-on-one bespoke coaching. There's sprints, there's ROI reboots, there's 6 months agreements, there's 12-month agreements. And that ebbs and flows based on availability, based on how many people are in at that time. And then I have my do-it-yourself, my self-study courses, right? Those are creating consistent, reoccurring revenue every single month. And every single person that I work with one-on-one gets access to those, depending on the length of our agreement, depending on the length of how long you have access. But those who just purchase the self-study have lifetime access, right? Some of my one-on-one clients who work with me commit to 6 months, 12 months, you have lifetime access. So all the updates, I'm updating sales codes with at least 3 to 5 new modules this month. 2 have already been added here in April. And I just gave one away, the urgency audit, right? There's another one I'm going to talk about here later in the podcast today. And so when I reclaimed this and I really allowed my Freedom Flex Fridays to be truly Freedom Flex Fridays and not overflow of calls, catch-ups, follow-ups, and the things about my business, which, don't get me wrong, I allow one Friday a month to be where I wake up, and if I feel like working on work, I work on work. If I'm in the flow and things are just happening and it's like a creative flow day, even though it's not a creative flow day on the calendar, I take advantage of that. That's still creating freedom and fulfillment. And it's still my Flex Friday. Like there is literally nothing on my calendars on Fridays unless it's a meet you at the oceanfront restaurant and meet up and have lunch with a bestie or a business bestie, or to self-regulate, take care of myself, go do a sound bath or a sauna, or some of my favorites are just going out on the boat with my husband, right? Which is so simple. But to me, that's like the luxe life. That's what I designed my life to be. That's what I designed my business to create for me, with me. And that's what I do with my clients as well. So work is an option. And so when I say that, again, one Friday a month, I allow that to kind of become maybe a network Friday where I grab a lunch with a friend or a business bestie. Again, what feels aligned, or I go to a networking event, or I jump on a networking call. I'm in a part of so many different communities where I get to collaborate, get to network in their membership areas or in their community areas, or jump on their calls. And if you have a networking thing on Friday, I might join it, but it has to align to that one Friday. Otherwise, I really stick to my guns of why I created the business that I have. And it doesn't matter how quickly I'm scaling or how good things feel at certain revenue K months. I just smile because it's like, even though, and this is a part where I had a hard time talking about this out loud. I would talk to about my clients so they could really resonate. But for the longest time, for the past 15 plus years, I've been behind $100 million brands. I've sold over 31 million myself. Most of it for other companies, not even my own. I've never made $1 million in a year with my own coaching practice. Now, as a 1099 employee, different, right? So this is where I was straddling two different worlds. And this is why I'm talking about this today, because if we want to go from busy to booked, but with boundaries, and actually reclaim time and be able to scale our revenue sustainably, this has to happen. This has to happen. You can't be straddling two different worlds. Now, can you create a yes and life by design? Yeah. Do you have to sacrifice one circumstance or one opportunity for another? I would say it depends. But if we slow down and we decide, like, hey, how can I create the yes and version of this versus having to pick one over the other? That's when real momentum happens. That's when real fulfillment can take place. And that's where your genius gets to thrive. And this is where, of course, when I'm talking about this, so many people will be like, well, that's easy for you to say because you've done this and you've done that. Well, that's why you hire me, because I've done this, done that, but I've also delayed a bunch of opportunity because I didn't know what I didn't know then. And now I know. And now it's like uncovering that blind spot for you as well. And so many people will hop on my sales momentum strategy calls. They're frustrated. They built the business, they built the success, only to want to create time freedom and money freedom, only to be stuck on the edge of burnout and a ton of debt. And most won't even admit the debt until we're a couple months into working together. And I know it's there. And it's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad. It just is. So what are we going to do about it moving forward? And this is why so many people have called me like the MVP or the MVC, the most valuable coach, right? In their back pocket. Recently I was called the Millionaire Catalyst. And I was like, ooh, I like that. And that's true. How come I've never owned it? And I think it's because when I work with my clients, it isn't about me. It is about them. But it is me helping them activate and be the catalyst to their millionaire lifestyle, their millionaire business. Like it used to be like, could I grow multiple six-figure business? And now it's like, okay, that only gets us so far, especially when we're hiring top talent to support us to create the time freedom. Going back to the urgency audit checklist, like where are we delegating and what can we really be delegating? At the end of the day, it comes down to what's really revenue impact. What is impacting your revenue? And are you winging your schedule? Because if you are, you're going to miss out on massive opportunities. Poor follow-up, low value client experience. This is inconsistency that's costing thousands in revenue, reoccurring revenue, and what? Missed referrals all day. I know because I've experienced this. My clients have experienced this, but not anymore. So my recommendation is to map out your month with a sales focused perspective, being intentional. This is real ROI, intentional with your CEO days, intentional with your creative days, intentional with client discovery pockets, right? Because we don't want to be pivoting and shifting and pivoting and shifting. It's like, well, this half of the day I'll do this, and then I'll take this call, and in between calls I'll work this stuff in. That's not prioritizing. That's not intentional. And it's a mental, emotional roller coaster. And it really never even sets yourself up to be in flow for you and your business and for your clients. So when you actually prioritize your sales focused time blocks, your CEO days, your creative days, your client discovery sessions, your podcast days, your mastermind days, your master classes and workshops, which is I love to do lately. And I'm like, ooh, and I noticed I started taking over my calendar because I allowed it. No one can take over my calendar without my permission. But now that I'm prioritizing again at another level, I'm guarding these pockets with my life. So let's first talk about the difference between flexibility and actual freedom. Because freedom is a buzzword. Everybody, again, freedom this, freedom that. Look at me living my freedom lifestyle. Great. But are you fulfilled? Are you fulfilled? Because when you're fulfilled, I'd say that's success. I'd say that's freedom. But most of us are missing out on the fulfillment part because we're like, oh, just I'll hurry up and I'll do this. And when I get there, then I'll have the freedom. Then I'll have the fulfillment. So they're giving their power away to an end result when all along the goal is to create the pockets of fulfillment throughout the journey. Every single day on things that challenge us, on days that are in flow, every single time. So flexibility is what? Reactive. It's good to be flexible in certain aspects and areas of our life, especially when it comes to our physical bodies. But like thinking about flexibility means when something happens, I can pivot and react, right? I'm flexible enough. I'm pliable. But actual real freedom and fulfillment is planned and proactive. Now, it doesn't mean we can create pockets of fulfillment and freedom and serendipity, like spontaneous moments. But if you think about it, if you didn't plan for that pocket to be available for serendipity, could have it ever happened? Would you have just bypassed it? Because we have flexibility, but what happens is we don't prioritize the freedom first, the fulfillment first. The flexibility often means you're scrambling to find time, constantly pivoting. And when something comes up, you scramble again. True freedom is having a system, a structure that gives you control over what? Your calendar, your energy, your focus, and ultimately your revenue. So here's an example. I had a consultant who was leaving Mondays open for catch-up work. It's like, if I just do all my catch-up work on Monday, I'll just feel like it's good. And I don't have to do it on Sunday because Sunday's family time. Like, that sounds fantastic. But what ended up happening was that was an admin day. So she was intending to do XYZ, but then her day got sabotaged. She allowed it, right? So we shifted her into a revenue aligned time block in different parts of her days with client facing work earlier in the week. And that alone added thousands back per month. And what? Contracts, agreements, opportunities. And so when we think about freedom being an intentional design and not winging it, which is what she decided to do, because she thought she had intentional design, but she was still winging that day. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe the obvious wasn't obvious, right? Without a clear revenue structure, your flexibility becomes chaos masked at freedom. Look at me, I get to do all this stuff, and I'm so blessed to live in chaos. This is what I dreamed of. And I'm laughing because I'm going to share an example of my own business. I saw massive growth when I stopped saying I'm available anytime. Like, here, book a call. Any pocket that's open, it's open. If it's open on my calendar, you get to have it because I want to connect and I want to convert. And I teach connection and converting, and that's what it's all about. And then again, as I was growing to the next level, 5-figure months, multiple 5-figure months, it's like, okay, how can I grow this and still maintain my time freedom, which is way more valuable to me right now, running a household, being a wife, being a daughter, having 2 young kids still at home and wanting to be disconnected from my business when they hop off the bus. I love driving them to karate. I love watching them. I love coaching them while they're on the mat and the trainer's up there and cheering them on. I love taking her to horseback riding lessons and sitting in the 90-degree sun, baking, giving all the other horses treats, watching my daughter grow, evolve, and learn how to master working with a beast of an animal while controlling her courage and her confidence and growing and expanding that along the way. So, but when I was available all the time, and then I felt like I wasn't getting stuff done, guess what happened? Everything that I had to get done, deliverables, were happening during the time that was my freedom time. That was to be with my loved ones. So what I did is I shifted to setting 2 days a week just for calls. It didn't matter if you're a prospective or a client. Those are my call days. 1 day a week, I record webinars. Those are also the days where I run my workshop. I'll do other master classes. So it's like I'm leading and teaching day. Like right now, I kick my day off with a podcast recording. It's live. I hop right into my workshop, which if you haven't joined it, I highly recommend it. Sales Momentum to Mastery. It's the only way to go. It's hot seat laser coaching, 10 people, a little bit of networking, and a guaranteed breakthrough and some activity that you can apply immediately to what? Start increasing your revenue, because that's all that matters to me in my world when I'm coaching my clients. Because if you don't have a business, you don't have revenue, you don't have a business, is my point. So when I shifted my workshops, now I actually have to start looking at maybe a day and a half dedicated to workshops. And then where am I pocketing in my client work? And my clients know I'm not available 7 days a week on Boxer. Well, this client is. Well, good. Maybe, or coach, maybe that's your coach. Is anything really that urgent? And do you want to run your business to where you're available to your clients 24/7? Is that real freedom? Is that real fulfillment? I mean, I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm here to share with you a different perspective and a different possibility and potentiality and opportunity to look at things a little differently and to prioritize with intention a little differently. And when I did this, and I'm doing it again, my revenue doubled. My burnout dramatically dropped. Actually, I don't no longer burn out because I'm aware now of what causes that. And I recognize the symptoms and the signs way on early in the game. And guess what? My clients respected my time more. They showed up better. I showed up better for them and myself. And of course, my loved ones. So why do random open slots not equal control and flow and true spaciousness? It looks like spaciousness. Why isn't it? Because it's scattered availability and it's going to drain your focus and drain your energy. How many times I went through a day and you're like, oof, I'm just zapped. I'm exhausted. Well, what was your flow to your day? And were you in control of that? And could you have been in better control of that? And do you want to do that? Because if you do this on a repeated cycle, you will burn out. It just happens. I know. Trust me. I've done it twice. I didn't learn my lesson the first time. Those random calendar gaps look what? Spacious, but they're fragmented. And that your ability to actually build momentum or get into a flow state requires a lot more energy and effort, right? So I'm not saying it's not possible. It just requires a lot more energy and effort. And it's not about having every time slot booked either. It's about being strategic and intentional with the time that you have dedicated to work, especially revenue generating tasks. And I'd say the same in your personal life. The same in your personal life. Where are you dedicating like true attention, full engagement? My whole journey started off in corporate health and wellness, actually in lifestyle medicine, then corporate health and wellness. And when I worked under Dr. Jim Lair, Dr. Jack Grapple at the Corporate Athlete Program, we wrote the book, The Corporate Athlete, The Power of Full Engagement, The Power of Story, and so many more stress mindset related books for athletes and corporate athletes. I will never, ever forget just what that means, the power of full engagement into your fulfillment. And with like my children will never be this age again. And I look at them in awe while they're reading the book at bedtime and I'm reading a page too, and they're doing certain things and they're become these little self-sufficient, independent citizens. That's my job. That's my number one responsibility, is to teach them how to be a kind, courageous, independent, self-sufficient human in the world, right? That's like, I believe every parent's responsibility, even though I don't believe most parents recognize that, but that's for another topic and another time. So going back to like revenue generating tasks and being fully engaged in that, but also like where can this overflow into other pockets of your life is another thing to also consider as you're listening to this podcast. But here's an example. I had a brand strategist that had, 5+ open slots weekly, but made little progress on actually offers. So when she started like condensing and batching her calls into 2 days and giving herself 3 full CEO days is what she required for the quality of the work that she was producing. Hello, brand strategist. It's a lot of creative energy. She launched a high ticket offer, and in 2 weeks, 14 days, booked 3 clients within 14 days. How many of you with 3 clients, even just in the next month or 2 months, make a radical difference in your business? Make a radical difference in who and how you show up, and how you get to grow your business, how you get to expand. Because again, this random availability sends the wrong signal to your prospects, right? We're leading, whether you want to call yourself a leader or not. If you are a business owner, you are a leader. And some of us don't take responsibility on that either. And when you have random availability, this also sends the signal that your clients can feel it too. It lowers the urgency, it lowers the perceived authority. Again, when I shifted to fixed call slots with pre-frames, prep steps, prospects would book in faster, and they knew next month they might not have this opportunity, because it's true. And then my closing rate went from 35% to 55%. Every single sales call, even on workshops. It was pretty cool. So how disorganized your scheduling actually hurts your client experience, your delivery, and your revenue growth. This one is critical because this builds client trust, and the delivery is built on the structure. So if you're rescheduling constantly or overlapping calls or running over in time, that's what I mean by overlapping calls, it erodes the client's trust. It delays their outcomes, and it will build this energy ick, is what I call it, every single time. And even if it's like, oh, but it doesn't happen all the time, it doesn't matter. That little bit is like a little drop or a little pebble in a pond in a ripple effect, and it just keeps going and going and going. So I have a health coach who went from ad hoc, right, boxer sport, to just specific weekly voice check-ins on specific days of the week. Not only did this free up some of her time, but it also improved her client results by 30%. 30%. That's insane. And retention went up. So again, disorganized schedules limit your ability to scale. So if your day is full of random to-dos and client calls, and you have no capacity to be intentional with actually creating or dialing in revenue generating shifts or new scalable offers, like right now, I'm in this transition and pivot. It's like, and I thought we'd be in this pivot maybe this fall, but here we are. It's May. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's fast forward the timeline. Let's regroup, reorganize, and let's use my own medicine. That's why I'm talking about this in May. I had a whole other list of podcast topics for May. That will probably happen maybe July or August now, or maybe not till next year, because I knew this was critical, because this was happening in my real time, real life now. So when I talk on my podcasts, many times it's something I'm either all in with my coaching on my clients at the moment and or myself. That's the cool thing. So you can hear like, oh, wow, I didn't even really think about that. I didn't consider that. Maybe that's why I'm stuck. Maybe that's why I'm stalling. Maybe that's why I wanted to throw in a tower. Maybe that's my self-sabotage sneaking in again. So when I used to run my entire week call to call to call to call, and then when I finally cleaned up my schedule with intention, creating a creative day, like how the heck am I going to build out a month or 2 worth of content, or build out a month or 2 of podcast topics? Then those pockets now give me so much time. Because if I were to do that week by week, like I've had before, like when I've got behind on like next month's podcast topics, I'd like scramble the day before and be like, okay, gotta throw this together with intention, but it's still thrown together. when I was already in flow. And if I just would have mapped out the next 4 and put them on the calendar and put them on the event list, like, boom, it's done. No need to go back and like clean stuff up. No need to go back and get in a creative zone. No need to force the creativity. Because again, the creativity and the content matter, but what matters more? Connection, converting. And plus, what this added to my offer stack is much more freedom, because I was like, oh, instead of just having my self-study course, which wasn't a self-study course this time, it was only available to my one-on-one coaching clients. Oh, you want my course material? You have to do one-on-one coaching with me. And then I was like, well, let's test this. Do people really need me? Because I'm in the course. My energy, my modalities, my structures are in the course. So do they really need live calls with me to really gain traction, momentum, and success with what's in the course of the structures and the frameworks? No. So now I have a do-it-yourself option. You don't even need me to get results, because I've taken all of my genius and put it in a course that freed up all of my time freedom. And I'm adding to it all the time. It's at least once a quarter. I'm adding new modules to it or re-recording old modules, because what's there is outdated. Not much of it gets outdated very fast, by the way, or just I have more juicier components to add to it based on what I'm learning with my clients and what I'm learning myself, or what I've learned from my mentors, etc. So when I now offer stack with a do-it-yourself option, I'm not involved. With a done with you option, which I'm coaching you, this is my bespoke one-on-one, and eventually there'll be some group mastermind done with you. And then I have my done for you, which is my fractional sales director. And I have so many of my clients are like, yeah, the coaching sounds great, but I'd love for you to do this for me. And I'm like, well, here's what it looks like. Here are the requirements. Let's be honest. Like, we have to have a certain amount of revenue coming in consistently every month, or you're not going to be able to afford a fractional sales director, let alone have enough volume of lead generation to support a team that's commission-based only, because they want booked calendars. They're hungry. That's how they make their money. That's how they make their impact. That's how they fulfill their purpose and fulfillment in the world. Right? Wrapping this up, I'm going to hit on 2 more here really quick. What real time freedom looks like when it's structured into your model, your business by design, your life by design. Time freedom comes from what? Boundaries. Most people think boundaries means restriction. To me, boundaries means abundance. When I have boundaries, that creates more opportunity. When I say no to something and then I say no again and no again, no again, no again, that's me creating space for the big hell yes. So this boundary thing isn't just empty space. It's the structure that sets you free. Boundaries make your timeline valuable, both internally and externally. So I have another mastermind client, right? Mastermind. That's funny. I say that. Mindset client. maybe I'm supposed to have mindset coaches in a mastermind. Who knows? Maybe I'm speaking already into the future. But this mindset client coach loved how I structured my one-on-one support. My packages looked like this many calls per month, this much Voxer availability, because when she was doing it, she's like, oh, I'm available 7 days a week. And my guarantee I get back to my clients in 6 hours or less. I'm like, wow, what if they message you at midnight? Are you waking up at 6 a.m.? Wow. What if they message you, on a Sunday and you're out, doing things for the next 5 hours, and then you don't check your phone because you used it all day and it's now dead, and now it's 8 hours later. Like, setting up, just freedom focused, unfulfillment focused type boundaries, right? Or expectations is what I should say, because that's really what's happening. It's an expectation versus a boundary thing. Now, when she narrowed this down to 4 days of Voxer support with those weekly check-ins, again, this isn't on repeat, but it sounds like repeat, better results, more fulfillment, more freedom, capacity to handle more clients. You could have more space, hold more space to help more people, create more impact. That is the key to all of this, is it not? To grow and expand our clients with our skills to provide results, and for them to do the same. Really let that land. And do we lose track of that because we got caught up in the hustle and the grind to grow and build, and realize that, whoa, in order to continue to grow and build and sustain the growth and building of this, I'm going to have to continue to hustle and grind. The same energy is required to maintain the result which is the energy that got you the result in the first place, that attracted the result, that created the result in the first place. The same energy is required. So this is where you have two options. You either continue to hustle and grind until you burn out, or you hire in other people, multiple people, so they don't have to hustle and grind either. Because when your calendar reflects your values, your fulfillment increases. People lose track of like, why did I even do this? Why am I even, what happened? These invisible handcuffs is not what I intended, but that's what it feels like now. Time freedom means creating a space for your joy and your rest, your recharge with intention, with purpose, and not as an afterthought, or not because you're now sick or you broke out in hives or your autoimmune response is like going berserk, or you're in fight or flight, or you have adrenal fatigue. This is all real things I've experienced. Brain fog. Who has brain fog in their 30s? No one should have brain fog in their 30s. It's not, I mean, it's preventable. When we're talking about mental, emotional stressors that are activating chemical reactions in the body that create dis-ease in the body. So again, I block 3-day weekends every single week. I talked about my Freedom Flex Fridays. But what I also block, and this is becoming almost a monthly thing, we're almost there. I got to get the family on board. They're the ones that are slowly like, oh, I don't want to do that. Can we just do okay, now I'm calling it a staycation. So we have 3-day weekends every single month, which used to feel impossible. And everything else is aligned and scheduled and delegated out. Revenue is still increasing. Things are coming in. My favorite is when I get home after being out on the boat or going to the parks with the kids, and on Sunday night or Monday morning, I just peek at my emails and I'm like, ooh, Stripe. Ooh, someone just paid. Ooh, like it's like little Christmas gifts. And I didn't have to rush and hurry up and email back. Oh my gosh, congratulations. I am so excited. They know that. They know that because they know what I've set up in the process of the prep work, of the onboarding, of the build out, of the automations and the systems and the structures and the tools that are still very authentic. I think automation can get a little wonky when things still aren't authentic and genuine, right? And the biggest piece of this is the nervous system. The nervous system loves this. And I do a deep dive on this topic in the leader flow formula. This is also in the sales codes as a bonus in April, talking about why are we attracting the results that we're attracting? Yes, we talk about thoughts. Yes, we talk about beliefs. Yes, we talk about feelings. But what about the nervous system, and what role does it play, and where does it fall in the spectrum of the leadership flow formula? All right, lastly, how to plan revenue generating time blocks. And this will increase your profit per hour. I'm not a big person on validating your worth or charging your clients per hour. Throw that out the window. Now, if somebody hops on a one-on-one call with me for 30 minutes or an hour, there is a fee to that. Now, is that my worth? I think it's funny. I feel like at the end of those calls, we should say, okay, I feel like this call was worth this much. How do you feel? Or wow, we just had a massive breakthrough and $1 million idea. So I feel like it's worth this much. I think it'd be fun to kind of play around with that, to be like, okay, how much do you think this is worth? And you just pay me that. Maybe I will start rolling it out. This was a thought that like just now landed. By the way, this was not planned or in my notes. But after you experience that call with me, my minimum is this. But if you feel like it was worth more, or later you're like, hey, I did what you told me to, and I gained this much back, here's a bonus. Here's a kickback. Thank you very much. And by the way, how do I hire you for more? Why not? I mean, that sounds kind of fun and different and outside the box, and no pressure. This is what it's all about. Planning the revenue generating time blocks to increase profit without the pressure. So we increase by what? Revenue generating time blocks, creating that predictable cash flow. If you're not intentionally prioritizing what? Connection, conversion, connection, conversion, connection, and conversion all day, you're leaving money on the table, and you're leaving your prospects that have been looking for someone like you and your solution out to dry. You're actually delaying your future clients' results. So if you can't take personal responsibility of your own, like how does it feel that you're delaying somebody else's? Now, again, don't let that doom and gloom you, but be like, wow, let that be a little spark under your butt, if anything. I had a client only booking sales calls when it worked, right? And it's like, well, how are you going to know if it works? And we created that. We said, okay, let's just make sure these are happening. We can't just say when I have the time, because you're going to be busy taking care of other clients. You're going to lose your momentum of new clients. And then you're going to be like, I'm out of money. I need more money. I need to hurry up and close some people, right? So instead, block a day or two strictly just for conversion blocks, conversion conversation. When she actually did this, she hit her first 25K month. There was no like 5K month, 30K month, 5K months, 10K month, 15K month. It was now a consistent like, hey, we're bouncing. Our lowest month is between 20 and 25. How cool is that? Now, profit per hour increases when your work is high leverage. High leverage, low lift. High leverage, low lift. Low lift on your side, right? This is why I love coaching. This is why I have the capacity to coach more people than I do done for you. The done with you, I can help more people versus the done for you. And that's why my done for you is radically more expensive, because I have a lot of high lift and high leverage. My coaching is low lift, high leverage. So delegating the low impactful tasks in my business to teammates frees up space for me to take care of the high converting actions. I used to spend hours a week on setting up back-end automations, build outs, because I wanted it done in the moment, because I was in flow. I could handle it. I knew how to do it. And finally I wouldn't even say it's the courage. I just had the smarts to outsource it, take my own medicine, do what I say in the urgency audit. That reclaimed time for me to what? Host more workshops, collaborate with other experts, gain more exposure through those collaborations and masterclasses. When I collaborate with other experts, I have this thing called leads to revenue masterclasses. We only talk about what leads to revenue. And this is with other experts. So if you're an expert, like, yeah, I'm an agency owner, I'm a brand specialist, I'm a marketing specialist, I'm a lead gen specialist, I'm an invisible funnel specialist, I'm a blah, blah, blah specialist. And if it has anything to do with leading to revenue, let's collaborate. Let's do a masterclass together. Let's gain that exposure. And if anything, let's also bundle a package together and offer it, right? This actually helped so much that I was starting to convert 2 to 3 clients. I ticket paying clients on autopilot every single week, when my goal was only literally to be, 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients a month, low lift, high leverage. But am I mad if it's 3 a week? Am I mad if it's now 5? Am I mad if the bundle sold out? No. So the urgency trap is real. And I have a whole module on this, like I said, in sales codes. And if you'd like it for free, let me know. I will send it to you. It will also come with the urgency audit cheat sheet to hold yourself accountable to revenue generating tasks and the freedom you specifically design for your business in the first place. Also, if you're looking for one-on-one support with me, I have the Momentum Mini Sprint. I have only a few seats left. I believe it's 2 or 3 here in the month of May. And then I also have 2 seats specifically for the ROI reboot. I had 3. One was just taken last week. I know you're like, well, it's taken in May. Well, it was taken in April, but it was May's ROI reboot. So we just started this week with her. The links will all be in the show notes. So I'll leave you with that. I'm sending you with so much love. Until next time, bye for now.